It's the third Friday of the month, and that means it's Art Addicts Alliance Day. Hello, and welcome back to Jenna Gets Creative. Last month we had one theme that we all did, and this month we seem to be continuing that because we are all doing Meet the Artist or some variation on that theme. I'm really looking forward to doing this. I haven't done my piece yet. I'm recording this voiceover 2 weeks early because a non-COVID plague is going through the house, and I don't know if I'm going to be able to talk by the time it's time to actually do this video. And you know, I don't need to be able to talk to make the art, but I do need to be able to talk to you right now here on the microphone. So let's go. I hope that my piece actually works out and I don't end up copping out and doing a completely different piece, because we're going ahead with Meet the Artist. So what is the Art Addicts Alliance? We are a group of artists here on YouTube. We get together on the third Friday of every month to upload on the same day, on the same theme, or sometimes two themes, shout each other out, link to each other, have fun doing this collaboration, and then some people are only ever heard from on the third Friday, and others of us are on our Discord server all the time. The official members of the Art Addicts Alliance right now, we have Jazz Capri, Weblight Dreams, myself, Jenna Gets Creative, Pan-Dimensional Space Zombie, All Funnies and Games, Artsy Pineapple, Enjoy Drawing with Mary, Dark Star Creations, Color Nix, Jude and Her Pencil, and Fuzzy Dragons. Some months we have a featured guest artist, and we would love to have a featured guest every month, so if you are interested in guesting with us, head on over to our Discord server and go to the applications channel and apply. What happens when you're a featured guest with us is whatever month you picked, whatever month was open that you wanted to do, you're an unofficial member of the team for that month. We keep you in on the loop, we shout you out, you shout us out. It's basically like you're part of the team, but just for that month. And then whether or not we part ways is your choice. I'll get to that. All we ask if you want to be a featured guest is that you are active on YouTube. Art is at least one of the things you focus on, and there's nothing too problematic about your channel that would get the rest of the group in trouble. Also, because of YouTube policies and because of COPA laws, we do ask that you are at least 14 years old, so it's, legal for you to be using and uploading to the main YouTube platform. If you are interested in becoming a permanent member of the Art Addicts Alliance, we do have some spaces open. We would love to have you. You're also going to head over to Discord, go in the applications channel, and send in your application. There are a couple more requirements for a permanent member. We are going to ask that you already have at least 100 subscribers, and we are going to ask you to submit an audition video. Your audition video is just an unofficial or a featured guest Art Addicts Alliance video. If you have guested with us, you can just link that video. That's perfectly fine. If you have not guested with us at the point when you want to apply to join, make an unofficial guest video. It can be the upcoming one you can upload with us unofficially. It can be the most recent one done at any time. It can be one that we did 3 years ago, done at any time. Just pick something that the Art Addicts Alliance has done, pretend you're a member of the group, and make an Art Addicts Alliance video. The purpose of that is just to see that you understand what we're doing here and that you're somebody that the team could work with. And everybody in the audience, if you are art fans or even art creators, artists, head on over to our Discord server. We do have a lot of public side channels that anybody who joins the server can chat in. We hang out there. A lot of us are there daily. We have a lot of fun just talking about whatever, but we also share our art and our videos and our pets and talk about what's going on YouTube in general. All sorts of stuff. It's a lot of fun. So, Meet the Artist. I will be drawing a self-portrait, obviously, because that's how you do Meet the Artist. I've never done Meet the Artist before, so I don't have anything to worry about repeating. I will be talking about me as an artist, specifically art supplies, likes, hates, that kind of stuff at the end, so stay tuned. Let's get through the other stuff about me. So hello, I call myself Jenna here on the channel. Fun fact, my first name is Jennifer. I have shortened it to Jenna my entire adult life, but nobody called me that in childhood. There was an older girl in my folk dancing group called Jenna. Met her when I was 6. Loved the name. wished that that was my name. And then the animated movie Balto came out, and the main female dog is Jenna, and like that was just perfect, and she was one of my favorite characters in childhood. And then when I was 19 and I met the guy I ended up dating at that point in my life, he called me Jenna. I'm not sure what prompted him to call me Jenna, but I liked it and it stuck. Ever since then, I've been Jenna. Before that, as a teenager, I was just Jen with one N. Thank you very much. The second N is pointless when you're only using one syllable. But in childhood, I was Jenny. I was named after my great aunt Jenny, whose name was just Jenny. My mom had the wisdom to give me the name Jennifer so I would have options. Unfortunately for me, Jennifer was a top 10 girl's name in the 80s, so I was never the only Jen, Jenna, Jenny, Jennifer, any of those names in my classes ever. We always needed a last initial in there. I am currently 34 years old and I live in Newfoundland, Canada. I grew up in British Columbia, Canada, and I moved out here 10 years ago this summer. I moved out here to go to school, met a guy, got married, stayed, started a family. I have been a member of the Art Addicts Alliance for, I think, over 2 years now. I think Halloween of 2019, the October 2019 prompt was the first one I ever did, so over 2 years that I have been a member of the Art Addicts Alliance, and I came here because of Weblight Dreams. Weblight Dreams noticed my No Box Art Box videos, asked me so many questions, and we ended up being friends, and I realized that she was in the Art Addicts Alliance, which I had seen a year prior and then forgotten about, and I decided to apply. And here we are. Other stuff about me. I know that commonly on these Meet the Artist things, people give their astrology, their star sign, that kind of thing, and people often also give their Myers-Briggs personality inventory letters. So technically I am an Aquarius. My birthday is February 2nd, and that puts me right smack in the middle of Aquarius, but I was born early. My due date was supposed to be around April Fool's Day, April 1st, which means if I had been a full-term baby, I would have been Aries. So if you're into astrology, star signs, all that kind of thing, take that for whatever it means. I'm not entirely sure. Sometimes I do find that the Aquarius horoscope is just way off, so maybe there's something to that. I don't know. If you know, let me know. Leave a comment. In terms of Myers-Briggs, I have actually had to do Myers-Briggs many times in my life, through school, through jobs, through counseling, and I'm always NFJ, but whether I am I, introvert, or E, extrovert, changes every time I take the test, which is just like proof that ambivert, introverted extrovert, or extrovert introvert is a thing. But INFJ, the introverted version of my personality, is known as the advocate, which is really fitting. I do always consider myself an advocate. I do tend to fall into that role. The ENFJ has a few common names. Some websites call it the protagonist, some call it the mentor, and I can definitely see that part of my personality too. When I am feeling more extroverted, I am the take charge and gather the flock kind of teaching leader, I guess. I guess that's what you would call it. I have heard a lot of stuff just kind of debunking the Myers-Briggs. I know that you really can't sort everybody in the world into 16 personality categories. That's ridiculous. But there you go. Like, it's a starting off point, right? And another common thing that people talk about in these Meet the Artist things is your LGBTQIA plus status, if you have one. Let's talk about that, I guess. Last year I did do a video. Last year, maybe 2 years ago, I don't know at this point. What is time? I did do a video just kind of explaining everything under the bisexual umbrella, which was a really fun video to do. So identities, attractions, orientations. For gender, I fall under the non-binary category. I identify with demigirl, which means I'm AFAB, I'm born female, and some days I'm really feeling the feminine, some days I am definitely female, but most days I just don't care. I'm just not at all attached to gender identity, which is why I do feel quite at home under the non-binary umbrella, and I call myself a demigirl. My pronouns are both she, her, and they, them. You can use either. You can mix and match, you can pick one. I don't care, just don't call me he. I'm not a he. In terms of orientation, I do often just claim bisexual demisexual because I fit under the umbrella, and it's the simple term. It's the term that was in use when I was a teenager and first hearing all of these things. But to get more specific, I am demisexual. I don't generally experience attraction in that way until I'm in a committed relationship with somebody. But in terms of romantic attraction, you know, anything's fair game, so I am pan-romantic demisexual. If you have any LGBTQIA plus identities, comment down below if you're comfortable sharing. How many people in the comments down below are just wonderful cis-het allies, and how many of you are one of the many colors on the rainbow? So I mentioned that I moved out here, met a guy, and started a family, so I live here in Newfoundland with my husband Peter and my daughter Dorothy, our daughter Dorothy. She is 4.5 right now. She's starting kindergarten in September. I can't believe it. Where has the time gone? She'll be 5 in October. It feels like just yesterday that she was a baby, but also 5 years of being at home is a long time. Definitely ready for the next phase of this adventure, but also missing the adorable little toddler I swear I had last week. That's not all living in this house though. We do have 2 adorable cats. We have Camo and Pebbles. One of the recent Art Addicts Alliance videos we did pet portraits, so you saw me actually draw Pebbles in Copic markers. That was a fun video. I do need to do a companion portrait of Camo sometime. General favorites. My favorite color is red. It's always been red. I'm told that tends to be more of a boy thing. Boys like the primary colors, the bold colors, the simple colors, and girls tend to like the more intricate colors like pink and purple and mint. I don't know. I'm not sorry. I like red. Favorite food has to be sushi, definitely. Favorite books, I honestly can't pick. I have a lot of favorite authors, and generally if you give me something that one of them wrote, I will be very happy with it. For science fiction, I love Robert J. Sawyer. He's a Canadian author. He is an Order of Canada recipient, and he has won and been nominated for many times all of the major science fiction and fantasy awards out there, basically at this point. Excellent writer, excellent author. I jump at every new book he puts out, and I did have the opportunity to meet him when the 3rd book in the Wake Watch Wonder WWW trilogy was published. He did a stop on his tour at the Vancouver Public Library, and I dragged my mother along to that. But also kind of a newcomer to science fiction, I absolutely love Paolini's To Sleep in a Sea of Stars. Paolini, of course, not a newcomer to the whole science fiction and fantasy umbrella category. This is the author of the Aragon series, but To Sleep in a Sea of Stars was his first science fiction novel and his first novel in general in like a decade, and it's amazing. If you haven't read it yet or listened to the audiobook, please do, and actually listen to the audiobook if you can get your hands on it, because the narrator is Jennifer Hale, and she is female shepherd in all of the Dragon Quest games. By the way, if I said the wrong name, I will be correcting myself on screen now, and I am sorry. And a science fiction discovery I made last year who I absolutely love is Elliot Schreffer. I read The Darkness Outside Us as an advanced reader's copy from HarperCollins because I am on their influencer team and I do get ARCs 3 times a year, which I love. It's so awesome. The Darkness Outside Us is a really interesting LGBTQIA plus friendly book about 2 boys from different factions of what is left of Earth, and they're being sent away on this long-term space mission to colonize another planet, except they're going under the false story that they're actually going to rescue the sister of one of these 2 boys, and they're being told that they had a very rough takeoff, and that's why they're waking up from a coma not immediately after takeoff and in rush shape, and there's a huge task list of things to do to maintain the computer and the ship, and so they have to wake up and do all their chores, and they're segregated to 2 different halves of the ship, and one boy has to convince the other boy to come over, have supper together, and they end up in a gay relationship. But there is a huge twist to the story that I don't really want to spoil it, but do definitely think 2001 Space Odyssey. That would be a huge hint to what's going on. It's an excellent book. This is not his first book. I do still need to track down his other stuff. In terms of fantasy, Neil Gaiman, for sure. Definitely Neil Gaiman. Patrick Rothfuss, Mercedes Lackey, Kristen Britton, Patricia Briggs, though not her Alpha Omega stuff. I'm not into Omegaverse. I like her older stuff, the stuff that stands alone, the stuff that it's tied into the same world, but each book stands alone or is a duology. Love that older stuff. And I really love gothic horror. 2 years ago, I discovered The Hush Sisters by Gerard Collins. That is a local-born author from Newfoundland, but currently living in Nova Scotia, and he published through a Newfoundland publisher. I actually got a copy from that publisher for free to review, to promote, and I ended up promoting it through a blog tour company, but I don't think I got back to the publisher soon enough because I haven't got anything else from them since. And more recently, V.E. Schwab, Victoria Schwab, her latest book is Gallant, and that is a gothic horror, and I adore it. If you have a chance to read that one, please do. And normally I am very, very yay audiobooks. Go listen to audiobooks. They are wonderful. But in this case, for Gallant, there are illustrations in the book, and Victoria worked very closely with her illustrator to make sure that the illustrations tied into the book, but were telling a miniature story all on their own. So you need to actually physically read the book if you can. If you can't, obviously audiobook is better than nothing, but in this case there's a visual element to this book that you don't want to miss, if at all possible. More favorites. Music. I am a diehard Backstreet Boys fan. I've been a Backstreet Boys fan since I was a very little girl, and I was born in 88. They formed in 93, so basically, yeah, from the beginning I've been a Backstreet Boys fan forever, for the whole thing. More favorites. Animal, horse. Favorite subject in school? I liked all of them, honestly. Like, I was a well-rounded kid in elementary and high school. In high school, my life goal was to be an engineer, so I was very, very determined to do well in the sciences and in math, and I always took, like, electronics and computer electives. But outside of that, I really genuinely did enjoy English. I was in the advanced program all the way through high school for English. I ended up winning a top student award in English in grade 11. Almost had it in grade 10. I was beat out by another student by 0.3%. And I loved social studies and history. Another subject that I had top student awards for, and my all-time favorite teachers going through from kindergarten to grade 12 were my electronics teacher in high school, Mr. Dixon, and the social studies teacher I had in grades 9 and 10, Mr. Sparks. Rest in peace, Mr. Sparks. He did pass away last year. Oh my goodness, when he passed away, like, my Facebook feed was just covered in people mourning his loss. Seriously, amazing man. He was a great social studies teacher, and he definitely inspired a lot of passion for the subject, for social studies and history in all of his students. But he was also a PE teacher. He was in charge of the track and field team. He did an aerobics conditioning PE class as an alternative senior level class, and he was just really, really involved in the community in teen and youth sports. So, like, even as an adult, when I was working at a grocery store in the next town over, my coworkers were crazy about him because they had kids that had been on his team. And yeah, just really one of those amazing people. I kind of got off topic. This is a Meet the Artist. It's supposed to be about me, right? Alright, let's move on to dislikes. Least favorite color would definitely have to be that kind of messy scale of green where it's kind of a pukey, yellowy green, but getting very desaturated. Like really old mushed up peas. I hate that color. Least favorite color for sure. Least favorite food? Well, I do have food allergies, so I'm going to leave those out. Genuine just don't like it food. I hate tuna. I know that probably sounds weird, especially since my favorite food is sushi and my favorite cooked fish is salmon, but tuna, no. Hate it. Don't want to eat it. I will eat tuna, sushi, and sashimi if you give it to me, but it's not what I'm gonna order. Unless it's a spicy cone. I love those. Least favorite in books. I do not do straight romance books, and I don't mean straight as in the LGBTQ sense of the straight word. I mean just like romance is the one and only and men-focused genre, and there's nothing else going on. But what I like, it's easy enough to avoid books that are categorized as romance. What I really hate is when a major prolific romance plotline works into another book, and it's not just like a cute romance, so will they, won't they, it's just like you're trying to read about space exploration and there are throbbing members on every third page. No thanks, that's not what I signed up for. Least favorite in music, really, really old school country. Like, I like the new country stuff. I like things from the 90s forward, but the really, really old, slow-paced, drawn-out, one octave of notes where everything ran away from you. I hate that. I really hate that. Alright, and you know, the actual important topic for an artist doing Meet the Artist, let's talk about my favorites and least favorites in art supplies and my art habits and all of that. So I am, for the most part, a self-taught artist. I did not take any formal art classes in public school after an 8th grade one-term survey class. I did do one life drawing class for a semester in university. Honestly, it's why I started this channel, so that I had the incentive to draw again, to make art, and to improve my skills, because I hadn't done it in so long, and it's something that I loved doing so much as a kid, and then kind of stopped doing in adulthood. My favorite art supply category, if I'm being completely honest, is anything that can be called watercolor in some sense, be it actual traditional Western transparent watercolors in a tube or in a pan, or water-soluble inks in any format, watercolor markers, water-soluble markers that are not watercolor paint but are just ink, liquid watercolor ink in a bottle, all that kind of stuff. I love it. Watercolor is definitely my favorite medium. If you watch this channel a lot, that might be obvious to you, or that might be a confusing statement. I also do a heck of a lot of alcohol marker, and that would be my second favorite. My third favorite is colored pencil. Regular, traditional wax and oil core colored pencil, and also pastel pencil, which I really wish I would do more on this channel, but it's just so much more time consuming than watercolor and ink is. Least favorite, it feels unfair to say least favorite, is oil, because I've barely ever tried oil, but I haven't had a good experience with oil when I've tried it, and honestly, like, if you want to do oil super traditionally, you go for the traditional oil paints, and then you have all of the thinners and the blending mediums and all that kind of stuff, and there's flammability warnings on everything, and you have to be well ventilated, and I'm in an old house. And yeah, I just don't. I know that there are water-based oils these days that are water mixable, and you don't need mediums, and they're not flammable, and they're not really fumey, and they're safe, but I do have 3 tubes of a water mixable oil that promised it would be fast drying, and it took a month to dry the piece that I made. So yeah, let's just commit to it. Least favorite art supply, oil paint. Fight me on that. I know a lot of people love oil paint as number 1 at the top of their list, but I don't. It's down there at the bottom. My favorite thing to draw and paint is definitely just animals in general. When I started this channel, I barely ever did humans, people, humanoid type characters, but I've done it a lot more in the last 4 years. I've gotten a lot more comfortable with it, and I do enjoy that as well. And landscapes and scenery, that kind of thing. I find that I've developed a style for myself that's fairly realistic, but not super hyper detail focused realistic, and that's what I like doing most. And I'm really good at working from reference. I'm really good at taking a good photo and turning it into a good piece of artwork. I'm genuinely not good at just dreaming up the composition and getting all the proportions the way I want it, and I don't know why that is. I'm sure I could practice that skill, but also, fun fact that I haven't brought up yet in this Meet the Artist, I am discovering now in my 30s that I'm probably on the autism spectrum. This is something that was, and that tends to be a common element in autistic individuals who are artistic. We love creating, we are very good at what we do, but there has to be some element of copying something we're not very good at completely forming the idea from scratch. That might have something to do with it. I don't know. Thanks so much for hanging out. Go ahead and check out all the other members of the Art Addicts Alliance. Enjoy their Meet the Artist pieces. We will see you next month, and if you're looking for more to watch, I've got some suggestions up on the left side of the screen now. Don't forget to like, comment, maybe even subscribe, and if you like living life creatively, whatever that means to you, I'd love to have you along for the ride. Bye guys!